But Xoli, the name of the restaurant is Babel Restaurant, and really, at this point, there are questions around how they treat their people, whether they're being exploited or not, and whether or not they have the right documentation. And this is why we find various departments at this point, from the Department of Labor and Employment, we've got immigration here, we've got the Hawks as well. They are currently looking at their documentation that they have of their staff. On my right-hand side already, that's where they are. I want to bring in the DSG, the DG, to speak to us, though, about this. DG, amongst other things, is a video that we saw on social media that details how workers feel that their rights have been infringed on. Can you tell us what other complaints did you get?
Well, so there's a myriad of complaints that we have, particularly regarding the people not necessarily complaining or while complying with labor laws, and which is why the Department of Employment and Labor is here. So we also have received some complaints related to other nefarious activities that are happening in the establishment, which is why we have a joint operation from the Hawks, Employment and Labor, and also Home Affairs, to ensure that all the other aspects of law issues that have been reported to us are actually attended to. It is not new, all right. It is something that has been concerning to us. We have had a number of visits and inspections in the past week or two, and this issue has been coming up quite prominently. We are concerned about certain industries, particularly the hospitality has come up to be a bit of a risk for us. So we want to make sure that people comply with the law.
What sort of experts of issues are coming out in the hospitality industry?
Well, look, amongst other things, is the fact that people are not observing occupational health care and safety practices, and also basic conditions of employment are not necessarily adhered to. There are complaints from employees that they are being abused. They're not necessarily being remunerated appropriately and properly, and they are made to work extraordinary hours that are not necessarily within the confines of the law. They are actually made to pay for stuff that we believe that they should not necessarily be paying for, including uniform in certain instances. And as you have picked up also on that video, the young person there indicating that they have been actually requested or forced, for that matter, to pay for cutlery and related matters that actually supposed to be provided by the establishment.
Tell me what you're looking for specifically in this restaurant then.
So specifically, we're wanting to make sure that one, all employees that are here are documented, firstly. Secondly, we want to make sure that the laws in terms of actual hours of employment are observed. Thirdly, we want to make sure that there is proper contribution in terms of compensation and in terms of compensation fund, and there's also compliance in terms of the unemployment insurance fund. And there's a whole lot of other laws that we are making sure that there's compliance with, that are within the purview of the Department of Employment and Labor.
And DG, just behind you as you speak to me, you can see there, Xoli, they're basically doing an inspection. So inspectors looking in terms of the health. As he says, there are compliances that needs to be followed, and that's currently taking place behind us as we continue this conversation. But also now all the employees have been brought to the other side. What are you expecting to get from that other side?
Well, firstly, first of all, we need to understand and document all the employees that are here and understand that who they are and whether they have got the requisite documentation in terms of their, them being in South Africa legally or illegally. But also, though, it is important for us to also talk to them and understand their own experiences so that we can then attend to those complaints, if ever there are any, from them as well.
Sorry, ma'am. This is where these are some of the workers within this restaurant, and they're currently being booked. You can see there, that's an immigration officer that's currently looking at them and getting their details. This is to ensure, again, that they are properly documented. What you see there in front of you are some of the documents that they've asked the restaurant to also provide. As we were coming in, they were saying that, do they have licenses? Do they have documentation for their workers? And this is some of those documents that are being brought in. Main issue, they have in a way ill-treated some of their worker, going on Twitter and basically blowing the whistle in what is taking place here. And these are some of the things that they've asked if it is indeed taking place, and they're looking at that. We are told that the young lady that was on social media in the video that they have to buy their own uniform, that they're asked to, they're not remunerated properly, and so that documentation should be able to reveal all those details that are needed by the various departments that are currently here, who have been found to not have their documents. So those are people that are not from South Africa, and as a result, because of the fact that those people are currently working within the restaurant and don't have their documentation, then the owner now has to answer for that, and this is why he was arrested. I want to bring in immigration now to speak to us about that, and I think I've tried to explain it, that South Africans are there, but there are people that don't have their documentation. Explain to us why this has occurred.
Now, when we're doing our inspections, like what you have said, we did find that there were two in Babel that did not have the necessary documentations. Normally what we do, if people are working and they don't have the documentations to be working, they get arrested. We don't only arrest them alone, we also arrest the employer. What we have done now, we did find the two from Babel. They've been arrested. They don't have documentations to be in the country. And then we've also arrested the employer so that the employer can also go and answer on the number of those people that are there, and also to explain why is he employing people with no documentations.
Take me through what immigration was looking for in all these restaurants.
In both the two restaurants, one is Ocean Basket, the other one is Babel. Immigration was trying to check as to the number of employees that are within that space, how many of those employees are South Africans and how many are foreigners, and those who are foreigners, what kind of documentations do they have? Because for a person to work in an establishment of that nature, they must be in possession of a work permit if they are not South Africans. That is why the two that we did find there, we effected the arrest.
So since I posted the video Izolo, some of the managers at Babel did try to call me, contact me, but I've not been returning their calls or their messages. One of the managers even went as far as DMing me on Instagram, offering to refund me for a uniform as well as the equipment in exchange for me taking down the video. Obviously, I did not respond to them. Nanku ke uphathu wam. So, ndimbuzo sisiba ndizayifumana happy because ninike 100 rand my tips for the day. This is how much I made from working from 1 p.m. up until 2 a.m. Ndenze 100 rand. So, ndizayifumana happy 200 rand ye-cutlery fine. They're like, no, like basically mandizame ndibanike because imali yabo I owe them. Guys, when I tell you my tears were here, like I told myself that, you know what, I'm gonna go home because this is cruel. Like, ningolile. Like, basically, I'm gonna be left at a negative 100 rand after working so many hours. Guys, the restaurant that I'm about to expose, I'm sure they've broken every right. Etibene Labor Relations Act just opened. It's in Menlyn. I've been working there for a few days now. So what happened is I went for a job interview. I showed them my CV and my socials, and I was hired on the spot. And then they told me that I should buy a uniform for this job, right? So a cross belt, a white shirt, black shorts, black apron, black shoes.
Yes, and hello guys, welcome back to my channel. Now, what started as a social media expose, a South African lady just venting on social media how this new restaurant in Menlyn is mistreating its employees. She mentioned quite a number of things that if you are familiar with the hospitality industry or you've worked in the hospitality space before, you know what she was like telling the truth, because that's what happens. Now, being someone who has worked with hospitality industry, specifically the waitressing department, I have seen it's not all. I have seen majority of it, but I've never heard of fines. Never, ever, ever. I was shocked reading at some of the things. Nadine plus Lebogang, 500 fine each. A cigarette in the Moe section. I don't understand how many times we need to remind you that no cigarettes in the Moe section. Nadine, your table is still smoking cigarettes. That's an extra 250 rands. So that's 750 rands. Yo! Hi guys, I've worked, like I said, I've worked industrially, different departments. Every department. I don't think there's any department I've never touched besides being a general manager. But I'm just saying, I am familiar with most departments, but I have never heard of fines. Ever heard of fines. If, let's say, you are in the housekeeping department and pillows, because niyazi ukuthi niyathanda umntshontsho, nintshontshe ama-pillows or ama-duvet, guys, the establishment replaces those things. If we reception department and kwenzeka ukuthi udabubhuke abantu and sekugcwele manje hotel, ihotela takes, yes, you get into trouble and all of that, but you don't get fined. If you are in food and bev department and nenza event and it happens ukuthi mhlasimpe ukudla kube late or whatever the case may be, you don't get fined. Like, I'm familiar when she mentioned ukuthi kumele untshontshe ukudla, udle phansi kwamatafula uthini because we are thethiswa. I'm familiar with those things. I don't want to lie. It's terrible, especially men who are busy. You don't get time to eat or take breaks and all of that. Because if you are in the waitressing department, collect some tips. You understand? So I get. It happens kwama restaurant amaningi ukuthi waiter noma chef noma ubani they don't get time for ama break, but it shouldn't be like that, but it happens, especially mekuzoba busy. It happens. I'm familiar with most things, but ama fines, guys, was you making the staff pay for literally everything, even cutlery. If a cutlery went missing, the restaurant or hotels or wherever we worked, they would replace those things. I mean, we're making these people money, so it's not like a cutlery or babiza ama millions. You get it? I was shocked as Shilolo Soselo, and shock of it all. I was so sure, like when the video started circulating, I was so sure these are Afrikaners, white Afrikaners. I was so sure. Because most establishments in the hospitality space that have strict managers and all of that, it's usually Afrikaners or Indians. They are known for being heartless. But the fines, I was shocked. The fines is another thing. Like, that's another level. The only fines that you would pay in such spaces was itafula lakho libalekile, guys, please yekani ukubaleka ema-restaurant because icala lisala no waiter. So if uzospend 1,500 rands and run away and think ukuthi it's nothing, it's a big business, banemali vele, lo 1.5 uzowela kuwaiter, uzowela kuwaiter. And I think it's the same thing that happens go petrol stations as well, because of Emma garage, because I've seen sebe bega ngisho istina manje bashaya imoto zenu because nikhohlakele nini, so don't do that. Don't run away, even if it's a nightclub, whatever. Don't do that. At least again, don't tip the person nokuthi ungakhokhi at all. Get it? No, don't do that. So the only thing that I'm familiar with when it comes to fines and all of that, it's your duty to look after your table, and amehlako angasuki kwitafula. If kumele uye kitchen or uye bathroom, cela umuntu akugadele umtshele lo muntu lo ukuthi lela tafula alikakakhokhi, so make sure ukuthi abahambi laba bantu labaya bengakakhokhi. You get it? So mekwenze ukuthi babalekeke, and then now kumele ukhokhe ibill yabo. You get it? That's the only fine that I'm used to. That's the only fine that I know. I'm so shocked ukuthi umuntu wesifazane. Number 2, umuntu omnyama. Yeah, but mhlasimbe, that's what the owner expects of them. Nabo imthetho abazibekela ukuthi you need to find this one and this one, angazi, but she only sukekephi mo final abantu, because you can just umtshela wethu ukuthi enza sure ukuthi laba bantu, otherwise the story, I'm gonna have to fine you. You get it? Not ukuthi hey guys, do let me know, guys, what you think in the comment section down below. And also having to work in Menlyn, I know it's 90%. I was shocked with only 2 only 2 we found because I did the undocumented. Like 90% of people that work there go in my restaurant as Menlyn, it's Zim people. It's not Malawi, Nigeria. It's Zim people. I know this. I've worked there. Angazi manje mhlambe sezashintsha izinto angazi because I hear ukuthi ama immigration wathi they normally pop in anytime, so mhlasimpe seba yeka ukuyenza lonto leyo ukuthi to hire 90% of Zim people and like 2%, 10% of South African people, and most owners, they're not from here. It's not South African owners. Abantu abase Mexico, abantu abase Italy, so they're not even from here. That's why they don't care about South Africans or labor laws or whatever. They don't care, as long as they make money. So yeah, that's a reality. But I'm quite glad when they arrest illegal immigrants, they also arrest the owner to answer how did this happen in your watch? Because this is your establishment. They're not gonna arrest the managers. Yes, the owner might say it's not my duty I'm not in charge of the hiring department, the HR department, yada yada yada, but you are the owner. You should ensure that's like someone is found selling drugs in your establishment, they're gonna arrest you as well to answer how did this happen. So yeah, man, guys, do let me know what you think in the comment section down below. I'm glad they also arrest the owners to answer for themselves. Yeah, I feel sorry for those immigrants. I mean, in as much as obviously put South Africa first and all of that, but I will forever respect people that are doing honest jobs rather than selling drugs, doing all illegal stuff. Yes, to work without a permit is also illegal, but they are doing an honest job. So I will never fully crucify them because obviously bezela to look for greener pastures and all of that isn't better back home, and they bayazamela bandla. So I won't fully crucify them, but and all of that. The person responsible or the person that should be held accountable is the owner for even hiring without a working permit in the first place. Now, when it comes to working permits, you can acquire, like the immigrant officer said, you can acquire a working permit under the white permit, he said. But when I searched the white permits, it's giving me general work. And with general work permits, the employer has to prove beyond reasonable doubt the skills that this person is coming with is rare, and there is not even one person in South Africa that is available to do this job. So when it comes to waitressing, we all know that is not, they can't, I mean, we have millions of people that are unemployed, South African people that are willing to work in any department, in any sector, in any industry, that would not even hesitate to take a waitressing job. So when it comes to that, you can't even say, no, there wasn't anyone available. So that's why I don't think it's possible you can get a working permit. I don't know though. I don't know. Do let me know, guys, what you think in the comment section down below.